We are living in the final days of a silence so profound we never even knew it was there. This isn't a story about a rogue asteroid, its trajectory calculated for decades, giving us time for Hollywood heroics and teary goodbyes. Nor is it the slow, agonizing climate collapse we've been nervously charting, a crisis of inches and degrees. This is something else entirely. This is a subtraction. It began 3 weeks ago, not with a sound, but with its absence. Deep in the Cerro Tololo Inter-American Observatory in Chile, Dr. Ares Thorne was running a routine calibration of a deep space radio telescope array, listening to the cosmic microwave background, the faint hissing echo of the Big Bang itself, the universe's foundational soundtrack. It is the one constant, the hum of creation. Except it wasn't. The signal was clean. The hiss was gone. The 1.25 centimeter wavelength radiation, predicted by theory and observed without fail for over half a century, had simply vanished. It wasn't equipment failure. Cross-referencing with the Atacama Large Millimeter Array and the Green Bank Telescope confirmed it. The universe's oldest light had been switched off. The scientific community's reaction was a spiral from confusion to sheer, unadulterated terror, immediately classified under a global gag order. The first hypothesis was a local instrumental or atmospheric anomaly, but that was dismissed within hours. The second, that some unprecedented cosmological event had somehow erased the afterglow of the universe's birth, was mathematically ludicrous. It would be like erasing the shadow of an object without moving the object itself. The third, and most chilling hypothesis, emerged from a joint conference between CERN, the Perimeter Institute, and a handful of Nobel laureates in physics. We are not witnessing a change within the universe. We are witnessing a change to the universe itself. The laws of physics, the constants we built our reality upon, are not immutable. They are beginning to unravel. The world's governments, trapped between preventing panic and confronting an enemy they cannot fight, are paralyzed. Their secret briefings speak of a cascade failure of causality. The chain of cause and effect, the principle that a dropped ball falls because of gravity, that a struck match ignites because of combustion, is becoming unreliable. In highly affected anomaly zones, time itself has become non-linear. Teams of physicists wearing suits that monitor local physical constants in real time have reported brief, localized temporal loops, watching a leaf fall only to see it snap back to the branch and fall again, identical a dozen times. Others speak of causality wounds, where an effect manifests without a cause. A building in rural Wyoming spontaneously turned to perfect translucent silica glass, its inhabitants frozen mid-stride inside a crystal tomb, with no energy source to explain the transformation. The sun, our anchor, is now a source of dread. Solar physicists have detected a softening in the strong nuclear force within its core. Fusion is becoming less efficient. The sun's light hasn't dimmed yet, but its spectrum has shifted infinitesimally towards the red. It's not the sun dying, it's the sun forgetting how to be a sun. We are not facing an apocalypse of fire or ice, but an apocalypse of irrelevance. The rules of the game are being rescinded, and we, along with every star, planet, and atom, are losing our right to exist, not by destruction, but by invalidation. The question is no longer if, but how long until the unraveling reaches a critical, irreversible threshold where reality itself ceases to cohere. The silence has been replaced by a symphony of wrongness. The world is experiencing a sensory revolt. The sky is no longer a trusted canvas of blue. In the anomaly zones, it fractures into prismatic shards of impossible colors. Colors that don't correspond to any wavelength on the electromagnetic spectrum. Hues that the human eye was never meant to see and that trigger primal panic in the brain's limbic system. The air itself has developed a texture, sometimes feeling like thick oil, other times offering no resistance at all, causing people to gasp as their lungs forget how to find purchase. Sound has become untethered from its source. A whisper in London is heard a second later as a deafening roar in the Australian outback, as the acoustic properties of the atmosphere break down. This is the second phase, the active, sensory decay of the classical world. The planet is becoming a haunting house where the ghost is the law of physics itself. The most profound effect is on human consciousness. Our brains are electrochemical machines, relying on predictable physics to function. As those rules become unreliable, so does thought. People on the edges of the worst zones report overwhelming bouts of shared psychosis, visions of universal oneness followed by crushing existential loneliness, memories that aren't theirs flooding their minds, and a pervasive, unshakable knowing that the world is a dream from which it is beginning to awaken. Humanity's response has fractured into three camps. The first is the scientific cohort, a global, decentralized network of the world's brightest minds, operating from hardened bunkers, desperately trying to model the decay. They've discovered that consciousness itself has a faint stabilizing effect on local reality, a modern-day observer effect taken to a literal extreme. Their last mad hope is a project called the Anchor, an attempt to concentrate human awareness through advanced neurofeedback on a massive scale to essentially will a bubble of stable physics into existence, a lifeboat of reality in the dying universe. The second camp is the chaos cults, who see this not as an end but as a transcendence. They worship the glimmer, the name they've given to the reality tears, believing them to be windows into a higher, truer state of being. They actively seek out anomaly zones, performing rituals to try and widen the fractures, believing they are midwives to a new genesis. The third and largest camp is simply the lost. The billions trying to live through each increasingly incomprehensible moment. They trade not in food or water, but in information and certainty. A map showing stable zones is worth more than gold. A story of a place where gravity still works perfectly is a new gospel. The concept of the future has evaporated. There is only the now, a terrifying, fluid present that rewrites the past as it unfolds. A child's drawing of a blue sky is now a historical document, a relic of a world that no longer exists.
There is no hope of survival, no bunker deep enough. This erasure is not a physical phenomenon to be outrun. It is a logical conclusion. It will be completed when the function runs its course, and the countdown is now known to the second. The final act will be silent and instantaneous. There will be no pain, no moment of terror. As the function completes, the concept of a moment will cease to exist. Space-time, the stage on which the drama of existence is played, will be unmade. Every star, every planet, every memory, every laugh, every tear, every bit of information that ever was will be resolved to a single, timeless, placeless, zero-point equation. It will be the opposite of the Big Bang, not an expansion into something, but a contraction into nothing. It will be the universe solving itself out of existence. The greatest mystery of all is what, if anything, comes after the equal sign. What remains when the equation is solved, when the last variable is canceled out and the final sum is zero? This is not an afterlife. There are no souls no gods, no pearly gates. Those were stories we told when the rules were stable. But something persists. Not a thing, not an entity, a potential. A perfect, silent, infinite potential. The state of being that exists before a universe defines itself with rules. It is the canvas without a painting, the silence before a note is struck. In the language of the old world, you could call it the quantum foam, the pre-geometric dust from which space-time itself condenses. But it is more than that. It is pregnant with everything that ever was. Because information cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. The love of a mother for her child, the fury of a supernova, the precise structure of a snowflake, these were not erased. They were deconstructed into their primordial, conceptual essence. They are patterns of meaning dissolved back into the source, like individual words returned to a vast, unspoken dictionary. And in this infinite potential, a pressure builds. A symmetry too perfect to be sustained yearns to break. A new variable is introduced, a fluctuation, a question mark, and from it a new set of rules begins to precipitate. A new physics utterly alien to our own begins to crystallize. A new universe is born from the ashes of the old, not in fire and light, but in logic and definition. And within its new fundamental constants, the echo of our universe lives on. The strength of its gravitational constant might be a love song we once sang. The charge of its electron might be the ghost of a long-forgotten grief. The pattern of its cosmic web, the large-scale structure of a billion galaxies, might, in its unknowable complexity, trace the outline of a single human smile. We are gone, but we are also, in a way we can never comprehend, forever. We are the memory from which the new world dreams. The end was not an end. It was a return to the source, a reset, a breath held, and then released. The story is over. The story is just beginning.